Hi everybody and welcome. Today we are going to look at the Canada Child Benefit. Now you might not know that you can be eligible for this benefit in Canada if you are on a work permit or study permit. It is not only for PR or citizens. So let me show you the process of how to apply for the CCB, which is the Canada Child Benefit, when you are in Canada. You can unfortunately not apply for this if the children are not with you in Canada. You yourself have to be an eligible tax resident in Canada, stay in Canada, and the children need to be with you in Canada. So let me take you through the process of how to apply. Firstly, you go to canada.ca, click on the language that you prefer. Then you can scroll down and click on taxes. And under taxes, you can go to My Account. And on this page, you can scroll down, and depending on how you registered, you can either sign in with a partner or do the CRA sign in. Now this is the one that I registered with, so I'm going to click on CRA sign in. And because I've already signed in today, I don't need to go through all the steps of verifying that it is me signing into the account. Here you have the dashboard of your account, and you can scroll down and see what else is there for you to read. We are specifically looking at the Canada Child Benefits, which we need to register for. And if you scroll down, right over here, there's benefits and credits. And there is the button, Apply for Child Benefits. So we're going to click on that. And then you can read through, apply for the child benefit. Can I use this service? So you can read through all of that to make sure that you can apply. You can click on, are you eligible for the CCB? And if you click on there, it will open up a new screen and you can read all about the Canada Child Benefit. So to be eligible, you need to meet all of the following conditions. So you can click on which ones it is, and if you click all 4 of them, you can proceed with your application. So the first one is that you live with a child who is under 18 years of age. Yes. You are primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child. Yes. You are a resident of Canada for tax purposes. Now make sure this is not just for PR or for citizens of Canada. This is for tax purposes. If that applies to you, you can click that button right there. And then you or your spouse or common law partner must be any of the following. So it is definitely for Canadian citizen, it is definitely for a permanent resident, and it is definitely for a protected person. But then what a lot of people don't know is that it is also for a temporary resident who has lived in Canada for the previous 18 months. So if you have been in Canada on a study permit or work permit for longer than 18 months, you are also eligible for the CCB tax benefit. They also state, and who has a valid permit in the 19th month, other than one that states does not confer status or does not confer temporary resident status. So if it doesn't state that on your permit, then you can also apply for the CCB. And then the last one is an individual who is registered or entitled to be registered under the Indian Act. So if you have any of those, you qualify. They also state that you cannot get the Canada Child Benefit for a foster child for any month in which children's special allowances are payable. So if you already have the CSA, you cannot get the CCB as well. You may get the CCB if you live with and care for a child under a kinship or close relationship program from the Government of Canada, a province, a territory, or an Indigenous government body, as long as CSA are not payable for that child. And then you can read more about children's special allowances right over here. Then they ask who is primarily responsible for the care of the child. And you can read through all of that. And then preferably they see the female parent as the primary parent that's responsible for the care of the child. So if you and your husband are here, do the application under the female parent for the CCB program. So let's scroll down and you can read more about the child custody arrangement. So if that is applicable to you, you can read through all of that. So if you are happy that you have ticked all 4 of these boxes, then you can apply for this benefit. Now the next step is to apply. So let's go ahead and do that. Click on apply, and here it will state when to apply, how to apply, and when you need to provide additional documents. So let's go through that. When to apply. You should apply for the Canada Child Benefit as soon as any of the following situations happen. So when your child is born in Canada, they will do all of this paperwork with you at the hospital. So you don't have to even worry about it afterwards. It will be taken care of as soon as the child is born. A child starts to live with you or returns to live with you after a temporary period with someone else. So say for instance you have come to Canada and started working or studying in Canada, and your children has been staying with somebody in your home country. As soon as they join you, you become eligible for this benefit. And then they also state you begin, end, or change a shared custody arrangement. So you can read more about shared custody arrangement right over here if this is applicable to you. And then you get custody of a child. And the last point is you or your spouse or common law partner start to meet the eligibility conditions under who can apply. So you can read more about that there. If the child started living with you more than 11 months ago, you will need to provide additional documentation, and you can click on additional documents to see what is needed. You don't need to apply separately for related provincial or territorial programs. The CRA will determine your eligibility when you apply for the CCB. So you don't have to worry about the other programs that the provinces have. You can just apply at the CRA for the CCB and they will automatically action the others if it is applicable to you. So how to apply? Through birth registration, that happens in hospital as soon as the child is born, online through My Account, or by mail. Now it does take longer by mail. The best way to do this is online through My Account. And then also when you need to provide additional documents, it will state here the other parent is primarily responsible for the child or children. The child's proof of birth is required, or applying for a period that started more than 11 months ago, and you or your spouse or common law partner are newcomers or returning residents to Canada, or leaving an abusive or violent situation. Now you can click on those and read more about that. We are going to proceed to the application, so we're going to click on online through My Account. Click on that. And then it will tell you here that the processing time, you should receive your payment within 8 weeks. If you didn't apply for the CCB when you registered the birth of your newborn, you can apply online using My Account, your personal CRA account. So you need to sign into My Account and then go to apply for child benefits and confirm your contact information, your marital status and your citizenship, and your child's name, gender, date and place of birth. Review and submit your application. And if you're asked to submit additional documents, go to Submit Documents in My Account. So if we scroll up, we can also read more about how much you can get. So if you click on there, you can scroll down and calculate how much you can get. Click on that. You can read through all of this. And then to continue to the calculator, select I accept below. So if you want to, you can first see what the amount is going to roughly look like, or you can just proceed to the application, but I'll show you what they ask of you if you do want to first see what your benefits might look like. So click on I accept. Then it will state here the tax year. Now remember that you can only apply for this benefit once you've done your taxes and once you've exceeded the 18 months that you are full-time in Canada. So you can choose the tax year that is applicable to you and then click next. Then it will ask you some personal information. It will ask you if you live in Canada, live outside of Canada, or live outside of Canada deemed resident. So for this, you have to live in Canada to be eligible. So if you live in Canada, click that. Then it will ask you the province or territory of residence. You can click there on the applicable one. And then it will also ask you your marital status, which is divorced, living common law, married, separated, single, or widowed. So click the applicable one there and click next. The family information. If you have children under the age of 19, you may be eligible for benefits to help your family with the cost of raising children. So you can refer to the shared custody for more information if that is applicable to you. Then they will ask you how many children do you have, and you can enter how many children is applicable. The next is the child information. If you do not have any children in your care or want to change the number of children, click previous. They will ask you the first name of your first child, and then also they ask you for a birth date. So let's just do any date here. We're just going to go back and say 2010, June 16th. And then it says, is this child a qualified disabled dependent? Now you can read more about that over here. And if they are, you can say yes. Otherwise, if they're not, you can click no. And then they also want to know, do you share custody of this child? You can also go here to read more about it. If it's applicable, click yes. Otherwise, it's no. And then add this child. And you will see that it immediately adds the child right over here. You can do the next one and also choose a birth date for that child. And then they're going to ask you the same questions. Do this child qualify for the disabled dependent? Yes or no. And then do you share custody of this child? Yes or no. And then add this child. And then if you have more children, then you can add their names as well. We have the 2 children right over here, so we're going to say next. Then they're going to ask you about your financial information, so you can include your net income, whatever it might be. Let's make it 50, and then your spouse's net income, make it 50 as well. And then if you have UCCB or RDSP income, if you want to know what that is, it will be on line 117 and line 125 of your tax returns. So if you have that, you can include that right over there. So you can include the income right over here and the repayment right over here. If you don't have that, just leave it blank and click on next. And then here it will say Canada Workers Benefit. The Canada Workers Benefit is for low-income individuals and families who have earned income from employment or business. So it will say, would you like to answer some additional questions about your expected income for 2022 in order to include the CWB in your benefit estimate? So you can choose either yes or no right over here. For this example, we're just going to look at the CCB, so we're not going to include that right now. Click on next. And then here it will state estimated benefits. So if you scroll down, this is going to be the amount that you can look at getting back for 2 children with your income of 100,000. It will be paid directly into your account if your account details is listed on your CRA online account profile, and this is the amount that will be paid into your account every month. Now this you can spend however you see fit. It is specifically for the children, but if you need to pay your lease agreement or food with this money, you are allowed to pay, or for clothing for your children, this is included in that. So you can spend this on any of those requirements for your children. And then if you want to start again, you can just press start again. And it will take you back to the start, and you can complete another example to see what your estimated benefit will be. Great, so you've checked if you're eligible for the CCB program, and you have checked what your estimate might be for your children that you have. So now let's apply. So click on, you can go back to your dashboard and click on apply for child benefits. And then scroll down to the bottom and click next. Apply for child benefits, step 1 of 5, confirm contact information. Now if your contact information has changed, if you have moved or anything like that, then you can just say no, and if it is still correct and the same, then you can continue with yes. Our details have changed, so I'm going to click on no, and then I can also show you the process for in case you need to update your address. So click on no and click on next. Then they're going to say you have indicated that your contact information is incorrect. You must update your current contact information before you can apply for child benefits. Once you have updated your contact information, you will need to begin your application again using the apply for child benefits online services. So let's do that update so we know that they have the current information. Now they have your mailing address as well as your home address and your phone numbers, so you can update whichever is necessary. I'm going to start with update home address, and they're going to say select country, Canada, United States or international country. We are living in Canada, so Canada, next. Then they're going to ask your postal code. Once you've entered your postal code in the format, 3 digits and then space and 3 again, then you can click on next. So once you've completed all the information, you can click on next. Then it will open up a review screen where you can review that you have submitted the correct information, and they state your new home address will be updated immediately with the CRA, effective with the date you've inserted as well as the new address. Now I did the physical home address part first because then it is easy to just click here and say mailing address is the same as the home address. And then also I confirm that the home address above is correct. Click on that and click on submit. And then they say, thank you, your home address and mailing address have been successfully updated with the CRA with the effective date and the address. And you will also be receiving an email if you have provided an email address on your profile to state that you have updated your address. So let's return to the home page. and you can confirm that all your details is now correct. Now, if you have a phone number, you can also confirm that that is the correct phone number. And if you don't have one on file yet, because I also recently just opened up my profile, you can click on Update Phone Number or Phone Numbers, and it will say that the CRA has no phone number on file for you, and then you can click on Add a Phone Number. Type of phone number is your work, home, cell, pager, home fax, work fax, or teletypewriter. Wow. Okay, so this is a cellular phone, and then you can include all the details, add today's date in there, and click Next. And then it will state your phone number will be updated immediately with the CRA, effective with the date that you've supplied. And then they will confirm your number again, and you can click on Submit. And there you go. Thank you. Your phone number has been successfully updated with the CRA. And then you can add another number if you want to, or we can return to the home page. And then you can check that all of the information is correct. And you can click on Overview, and it will bring you back to the dashboard. And once you're back at the dashboard, you can scroll down to Benefits and Credits, click on Apply for Child Benefits. Scroll down to Next, and then we are at step 1 of 5, Confirm Contact Information. They will state your home address. If it's the correct home address, you click yes. If it is not, you click no, and you go through the process of updating your address. This is the correct address currently, so I'm going to click on yes and next. Then they're going to ask you to confirm your marital status, ensure that your status is correct with the effective date and the name of your spouse, and you can either say yes or no, and then click Next. Then they're going to ask you to confirm your citizenship, and they say, have you been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months? So you're going to say yes if you are, or no if you're not, and then click Next. And then they're going to ask you for the personal information of your first child, which is the first name, the last name, the gender, the date of birth, the country of birth, the province, and the city of birth. And once you've completed all this information, you can click on Next. Then they're going to give you all the particulars of your first child, and you can confirm that that is correct. And they state here, you must be primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of this child when the child lives with you. Does the child live with you most of or all of the time? Yes or no. So you can say yes if that child lives with you and click on Next. Then they're going to ask to confirm the date. Enter the date the child started living with you most or all of the time. So if it is since birth, you just include their date of birth, the year, the month, and the day, and click on Next. If it isn't from birth, if there was a period that they weren't living with you, just enter the date from which they started living with you continuously. Click on Next. And then it gives you the summary of the child's information. So they have the name, the gender, date of birth, place of birth, start of care, and shared custody, yes or no. And then you can also add another child, or you can remove a selected child. So if you have more than one child, you can click on Add Another, and you can include the same information for your other child, the second child. And once you've completed all the information for your second child, you can click on Next. They will provide you the information that you've just inserted, and you can click on, does the child live with you most or all of the time, yes or no? If it is yes, click on yes and click Next. They will also ask you to enter the date the child started living with you. And if the child has been living with you since birth, you can just include their birthday and click on Next. And then they will provide you with a summary for the children that you've included. You can confirm that everything is correct. And then they state, ensure that you have added all children before continuing, as only one application for child benefit can be submitted in a 24-hour period. So make sure that you have included all of your children and that it is the correct information, because you need to upload birth certificates to confirm. So if you are happy with all the information that you've provided, you can click on Next. And there you have it, a review and submit application. So they have your home and mailing address, your marital status, your citizenship, as well as your children's information. And if you are happy with all the information that has been provided by you, you can click on I certify that the information I have provided is correct, and click on Submit to CRA. So here it states that your application has been submitted, and they also say to complete your online application, you must do the following steps. Provide the following documents. Confirmation of your citizenship status. For that, you need to complete the Form RC66SCH. So you need to provide them with that form, and acceptable proof of birth for the children listed below. And you can write your social insurance number on all documents and use submit documents to send us the requested documents electronically. If you are sending the documents by mail or fax, please print and attach a copy of this page with your documents. Now, I would never say go via mail. Do everything that you can online. And then they provide you with the mailing address if you want to mail it into them. And additional information, they say if we do not receive the information within 45 days, we will cancel your application and you will need to reapply. If you have any questions, please call the CRA, and then to have your benefit payments deposited directly into your bank account, please use the Arrange My Direct Deposit online service. So there you have it. Just make sure that you provide the additional information within that time limit so that they can finalize your application. So the form you'll need to complete for your Canada Child Benefit application is the RC66 form. Now, if you've downloaded the form, this is what Adobe opens to you. And to access the form, you just need to double click on the little push pin right here. And that will open the form for you. So let's quickly go through the form to see what they'll need. So you can read through all of this. It stipulates here, find out if this form is for you, who should fill this form in. And then for more information, you can go to canada.ca/CRA-benefits. The information that they'll need from you is step 1, the social insurance number. Now, if you do not have a SIN, then you can look at booklet T4114 and check the how to apply. If you do have your SIN already, you can just complete it here. Then your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and this will be the mother's details that you fill in here, because the mother is seen as the primary caregiver of the children. And then they'll also need to know your language correspondence, English or French, and then your phone number for home, work, or your cell. Step 2 is your address, your mailing address and your home address. Now you can just complete one here and then click here to say same as mailing address. So they would need your apartment number, your street number, your PO box number, then your city, the province, or country if outside of Canada, and then the postal or zip code. And then they ask, have you moved from a different province or territory within the last 12 months, yes or no? If you answer yes, you just need to include the province where you've moved from and the date that you've moved, because obviously they need to work out your benefits according to where you are currently residing. And if it's no, then you can just click no. Then your home address, you can click here same as mailing address, which makes it very easy. Step 3 is your marital status, and here you can select the box if you're married, living common law, separated, divorced, widowed, single, and then enter the date the selected status began. So the date that you got married or divorced or anything like that, you just complete the year, month and day. If you selected married or live in common law, enter your spouse or common law partner's information. So they also need the SIN, the SIN number, your social insurance number of your partner, as well as their first name, last name and date of birth. And then if your spouse or common law partner's address is different from yours, enter it here, otherwise their address will be updated to match the address indicated in step 2. Step 4 is your citizenship status. So they ask, have you been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months? Yes or no? And has your spouse or common law partner, if you have one, been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months, yes or no? And if the answer is no to either of these questions, you have to fill out Form RC66SCH. And you can download that form right over here or from the website. I will also show you how to complete that form. Then step 5, newcomer or returning resident of Canada. They ask, within the last 2 years, did you become a newcomer to Canada or return after an absence of at least 6 months? So you can answer yes or no, whichever is applicable to you. And then within the last 2 years, did your spouse or common law partner, if you have one, become a newcomer to Canada or return after the absence of at least 6 months, yes or no? And then if you answer yes to either of these questions, you will also have to fill out Form RC66SCH. Then step 6 is the information about your children or child. And they state, if the child started living with you more than 11 months ago, you need to provide supporting documents. See what to attach to this form on page 5. Now, if you're doing this application just after you arrived in Canada, you don't have to provide all of the supporting documents. If you have stayed in Canada longer than 11 months, then you need to complete all of the rest of the documents that they need. Now, it's just basic documents. We'll go through that as well, and we can see what is needed. And then it states, primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child. Being primarily responsible for the care or upbringing of the child means that you are responsible for such things as supervising the child's daily activities and needs, making sure the child's medical needs are met, and arranging for the child's care when necessary when the child lives with you. Shared custody, this normally happens after a separation or a divorce. We consider you to be a shared custody situation if the child lives 40 to 60% of the time with you and the rest of the time with another individual at a different address. For more information on shared custody, you can look at booklet T4114. Do not give information about a child to whom you have already applied unless the child left your care and has now returned, or the percentage of time the child is in your care has changed. Then they need the information of your child. That would be the first name, the last name, the gender, female, male, and their date of birth, as well as the city of birth and the province or territory of birth, or country if outside of Canada. You must be primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of this child when the child lives with you. Then they ask, does the child live with you most or all of the time? Yes or no. And then if yes, enter the date the child started living with you most or all of the time. If the child has lived with you since birth, tick the box right over here. Otherwise, if there was a period that the child or children were not with you, then you can just state the date that they joined you. It says, if no, select the box that represents the percentage of time the child lives with you. So you can say, is it more than 60%, between 40 to 60%, or less than 40%? If that is applicable, just click and state the year, month, and date. And then they ask you the same questions as with the first child. And then if you're applying for more than 2 children, you can use Form RC66-1 for additional children. And they say that you can also attach a separate sheet of paper with the information asked above if you have more than 2 children to complete the information form. Then step 7, signature. They need you to sign that the information is correct and complete, so your signature with the date that you're completing it. And then as well, if your marital status is married or living common law, your spouse or partner needs to also sign and date this form. And that is all the information that they need. Then we can look at all the documentation that you can attach to your form for your application. And if you are in the following situation, this is the documents that they need from you. So if you answered no to either of these questions in step 4, have you been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months? Has your spouse or common law partner, if you have one, been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months? Then you also need to complete Form RC66SCH. The next one, if you answered yes to either of these questions in step 5, you also need to complete Form RC66SCH. And then if they have not paid benefits to anyone for this child and the child is in any of the following situations, then they need the proof of the birth of the child. So if the child is 1 year of age or older and was born outside of Canada, so you would provide the proof of the birth of the child, and that is for each of the children. And if the child started living with you more than 11 months ago, you need to provide the following documents as well. So they need a proof of birth for each child. They need a proof that you resided in Canada, at least 3 documents. They need proof that you were the person who is primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child, at least 3 documents. And proof of citizenship or immigration status in Canada for you and your spouse or common law partner. And then if you are applying for more than 2 children, you need to complete Form RC66-1, additional children, or attach a separate sheet of paper with the information requested in step 6. Now let's quickly see what they are looking at examples for acceptable documents. As proof of birth, you have to provide a photocopy of 1 document with the child's first name, last name, and date of birth, such as their birth certificate or birth registration, a hospital record of birth or record from a physician, a nurse, or a midwife, a copy of their passport, the record of landing or confirmation of permanent residency issued by the IRCC, the citizenship certificate, notice of decision of a temporary resident permit, certificate of Indian status card, or provincial identity card. As proof that you resided in Canada, you have to provide a photocopy of at least 3 documents, such as a lease agreement, a rent receipt, a household bill for gas, electricity, cable, or telephone, your driver's license, vehicle registration or car insurance, a membership in social or professional organizations. But you have to supply at least 3. Then, as proof that you were the person who is primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child, you have to provide a photocopy or at least 3 documents of the following: a letter from the daycare or school authority indicating the child's home address and contact information on file, a letter from a social worker, a band council, or a resettlement officer stating that they have personal knowledge that the child lived with you for the period you indicated, a registration form or a receipt from an activity or club that the child was enrolled in for the period you indicated, a court order, decree, or separation agreement that explains the type of custody arrangement you have, or any other document showing that the child lived with you for the period you indicated. So they would need 3 documents to indicate that the child lived with you. Then getting benefits and credits when in an abusive or violent relationship, you can read through this and then what is required for you to complete. And you can go to canada.ca/child-family-benefits and select leaving an abusive or violent situation to find out what is needed to complete when you're in this situation. Then what to do now? Make sure all steps of this form are filled out. If applicable, attach the documents mentioned. Make a photocopy of your form and then you can send it to the applicable station, or you can apply online and upload all the documents there. Now, after you apply, they say that unless you tell us otherwise, the information you give us on this form will be used for all programs, including federal, provincial, and territorial programs. Once we have processed your application, we will send you a Canada Child Benefit Notice. The notice will show you are eligible, how much you will get, if applicable, and what information was used to calculate the amount. The CRA's goal is to issue you notice of payment, if applicable, within 11 weeks of receiving your filled out paper application. Now, the online application will be quicker. We may also review your situation at a later date to confirm that the information you gave us has not changed. Now, getting your payment, direct deposit is the fast, convenient, and secure way to get your CRA payments directly into your account at a financial institution in Canada. So you have to have a bank in Canada already. For more information and ways to enroll, you can visit the website right over here. You need to do your taxes on time every year so that they can calculate your payment, and even if you had no income in the year, you still need to submit a 0 income tax form, as well as your spouse or partner needs to complete their taxes every year on time to continue receiving these benefits. And make sure that your personal information is up to date, as this could affect your payment. So great. And if you need more information about if your spouse or common law partner is a non-resident, you can also read here, and you can also call them to find out more information. So this is the form that you need to complete to apply for Canada Child Benefit. Now, the next form that we need to do is this RC66SCH. So you can click on that and open link in a new tab. And if we go to that tab, you will see that they give you the information here. So you can download the form, make sure there's a PDF that you can view, and then there's a PDF that's fillable and savable. So you can right click on the fillable, savable file and go to Adobe Acrobat and click on Convert Link Target to Adobe PDF. So it will open up the Save PDF folder, and you can decide where you want to save that file. Click on Save, and it will convert the file into a format for you to complete. Once it is downloaded, you will see that it opens up this form right over here, and then to open up the form and to complete it, you just double click on this little push pin right over here, and it will open up the form for you to complete. Now you can either complete this form and mail it into the CRA, or you can complete it and upload it on your profile online. So this is the information they need, is the status in Canada and your income information for the Canada Child Benefit application. So they say find out if this form is for you, but we've already established that it is, but we can read through that again. Fill out this form if any of the following situations apply. You, your spouse, or common law partner, if you have one, or both of you became a resident of Canada, for example, a newcomer to Canada, or a returning resident of Canada in the last 2 years. You became a Canadian citizen within the last 12 months. You are defined in the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act as permanent resident protected person or temporary resident who has lived in Canada for the previous 18 months. So this temporary resident is if you are on a study permit or a work permit. And then the last one is are registered or entitled to be registered under the Indian Act and are not a Canadian citizen. In this form, you will provide information about your and your spouse or common law partner's residency, status, citizenship, and immigration statuses, and income. This information is used to determine your child and family benefits and credits. You do not have to fill out this form if the information was previously submitted and has not changed. Because this is a new application, you need to make sure that you complete it and submit it online. So the information that they want from us, step 1 is your information. So provide the female partner information right over here. So they would need your social insurance number, your first name, your last name, your spouse's or common law partner's SIN number, and then you need to select this box if your spouse or common law partner does not have a SIN, and your spouse or common law partner's first name and last name. And then they also need your residency status. So they say here, fill in the section that applies to you, your spouse or common law partner, or both of you. So a newcomer to Canada, they ask, enter the date you or your spouse or common law partner became a resident of Canada. So you and then your spouse's information. And then returning resident of Canada, you and spouse's information, whichever is applicable. Then step 3, they need your citizen or immigration status. So fill in the section that applies to you, your spouse or common law partner, or both of you. So A is Canadian citizen, B is permanent resident, C is protected person, and D is a temporary resident. So if you are here on a work or study permit, this is where you will complete your details in section D, temporary resident. So they need a document for you as well as a document for your spouse. And if you read through here, it states you become a temporary resident when you are legally authorized by the IRCC to enter Canada for temporary purposes such as a visitor, student, worker, or temporary resident permit holder. You were given a confirmation document such as a visitor record, a temporary resident permit, or a study permit that shows a start date and an expiry date. As a temporary resident, as defined in the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, you or your spouse or common law partner must meet both of the following requirements. You have lived in Canada throughout the previous 18 months, and you have a valid permit in the 19th month, do not apply before the 19th month. Then note if your permit has a remark stating does not confer status or does not confer temporary resident status, you do not satisfy the conditions for temporary resident and should not apply. Enter the start date and expiry date of each document that covers the period after your 18th month residency. If you need more space, use a separate sheet of paper and attach it to this form. So that is the information that they need from you, and you have the section for yourself is document 1. So here you would say work permit or study permit, and then the start date, the expiry date. Document 2, if it's applicable, with a start date and expiry date, and the same for your spouse or common law partner. Then section E is individual who is registered or entitled to be registered under the Indian Act. So if that's applicable, then that is where you complete that information. Step 4 is your income. Enter your and your spouse or common law partners, if you have one, income from all sources that was not reported on a Canadian tax return. All amounts must be converted into Canadian dollars using the Bank of Canada exchange rate in effect when you received the income. For the exchange rates, go to bankofcanada.ca/rates/exchange. F0 if you had no income. If you are an individual who is registered or entitled to be registered under the Indian Act, you can read all of that. And then you have, under your income, you have the year you became a resident of Canada, 1 year before you became a resident of Canada, and then 2 years before you became a resident of Canada. So you need to complete for yourself and your spouse the income that you had from January the 1st of that year to the date you each became a resident. And then as well as under section B for a year before and then 2 years before. And once you've completed all of that, you need to sign this document. So I certify that the information given on this form is correct and complete. I understand that it is a serious offense to make a false statement, with your signature and date, and then your spouse's signature and date. So once this form is filled out, you need to make sure that all steps of this form are filled out. You can make a photocopy of for your records, and then you can attach this form to your Form RC66 Canada Child Benefit Application, or send it to the tax center that serves your area via mail. And you do not have to send supporting documents with this form. However, we may ask you to send them at a later stage. How do we get your benefit and credit payments as a newcomer or returning resident to Canada? The information provided on this form will be used to calculate your entitlement if eligible for the Canada Child Benefit, the Goods and Services Tax credit, the Climate Action Incentive Payment, or any other related provincial or territorial programs administered by the CRA. Now, you might have heard that there are various provincial or territorial programs as well. And once you register for the CCB, you don't need to re-register for the provincial benefits as well, as the CRA will check where your residence is and then complete that automatically. To continue receiving benefits and credits, you need to do your taxes on time every year so that the CRA can calculate your payments even if you had no income in the year. You just return a zero tax return. But you have to continue receiving these benefits, you need to make sure that you submit your tax return every year. If you have a spouse or common law partner, they also need to do their taxes every year. Make sure your personal information is up to date with the CRA, as this could affect your payments. If your spouse or common law partner is a non-resident of Canada, the CRA needs their income information for each year or part of a year they were a non-resident of Canada to determine your child and family benefits and credits. You can provide this information by filling out Form CTB9, Income of Non-Resident Spouse or Common Law Partner, and you can mail or fax it to them or submit it electronically via your profile online. And then for more information, you can contact the CRA at all of these numbers right over here or online. And once you've completed this form, you just save it, and then you can upload it on your profile on the CRA website. So if you have all of your documents ready that you want to upload for your CCB to the CRA, you can go to your dashboard, log into the CRA My Account, and then on your dashboard you will see that there's a benefits and credits on the side here. You can click on that, and here it will say that you've applied for the CCB and there's action required. So they will tell you exactly what it is they still need from you. Click on Submitted Documents and click on Submit Documents, and then they ask you to, before you begin, the service allows you to send documents electronically to the CRA. You can only use this service when you would like to send relevant documents that are associated with a specific program through the CRA's online services, or we have communicated with you requesting documents and have invited you to use this service. You can use this service in the following cases. You do not have a case or reference number but know the applicable topic for your documents or submissions, or the CRA provided you with a case or reference number. If you're happy with that, you can click on Start. If you have a reference number, you can use that. Otherwise, click No, and then click the topic, which is Benefits and Credits. And it's going to ask us, indicate the reason for your submission. So we're going to say support a child benefit application. Click on that and click on Next. Going to bring us to upload files. So you can attach up to 10 files associated with your submission. And there's some more information for you about the files that you are about to upload. It gives you a maximum remaining total of 500 megabytes. And it is 10 files that you can upload. So you are going to upload all the files that you need to right over here. Click on the plus button, and then they also tell you that you can give it a description and the allowable file types. So any of these files you can use to upload. Most government organizations prefer the PDFs, and you can include your SIN number with all of your files. Click on Browse and choose the file that you want to upload. Once you're happy with that, you can click on Upload Files. So there you have it, all the files that you need with your application. Click on Next, and then you need to review the information that you're uploading and make sure that you did include everything. There we go. Submit documents confirmation. Success. Yay! You have successfully submitted 7 documents associated to support a child benefit application, proof of birth, and or proof of citizenship. So it gives you all of the information there. It gives you a case and a reference number right over here, as well as a confirmation number, and it will send you an email as well. That is the sound that you just heard coming through. So you have proof that you've submitted everything. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to do this as soon as you can. Bye guys.